So, hello and welcome to the New Gig podcast. I'm your host, Glenn Hodgson. Today, I'm delighted to be joined by the chair of the steering committee of SME Connect and also the Secretary General of Taxpayers Association of Europe, Horst Heitz. How are you doing, Horst?
Very well. Great to see you and great to be in your podcast. Yeah, busy times, but motivated. And I hope that Europe will make a turnaround at the moment because we have here not the easiest times at the moment and many challenges, but
We've
there is
got
still hope.
we have many challenges, Horst, and that keeps us on our toes. But before we get into the sort of the whole SME agenda and how they are the real lifeblood and the motors of innovation in Europe, give us a little bit of a background on yourself, Horst, just in terms of your background, what you've been doing, a bit about your journey, and of course the what your current roles entail.
Journey. Yeah, I have perhaps it's a curious point. I'm Swiss and German. So, and I was coming through my studies to the European Union because I've studied political science, communication, and law for social scientists with a focus on international law and European law.
Yeah.
And then, so like many, I was coming as an intern there. And later I was working in Munich in a party organization as policy advisors. And then it leads me back to Brussels. And I was 15 years. Since 15 years, I'm here.
Wow.
And like you say, I'm the Secretary General of the Taxpayers Association, but I representing also other organizations, the European Economic Senate here, and I have also other activities. Everything what is related with SMEs is my topic. And
Yeah.
this is why I'm also representing as a chair of the steering committee of SME Connect, also 27 organizations, business organizations who are in this network. And
Yeah.
yeah, my background is also perhaps to see my parents were both one person companies.
Yeah.
So I know that the life can be also complicated. You have a lot of freedom, but there's also a lot of challenges and you have good times and bad times.
You certainly do, Horst. And
Yeah.
just give a little bit more background on that in terms of the importance of SMEs for the European economy, because often this is something that gets forgotten in the broader debates.
Yeah, this is I would say Europe is the continent of SMEs. This is our DNA. This makes the difference. And the difference is that we have this well mix of micro businesses, medium businesses, mid-sized companies who are not any SMEs anymore, but between 250 and 2,500 employees, and large companies. It's an ecosystem what works in Europe very well,
Hmm.
especially in Central and North Europe. Yeah, this is why also these economies are so strong because this is a mix of flexibilities of ideas. And if you have only large companies and very micro business, it's often not balanced. And I think
Yeah.
this is the strong side of Europe. But we talk a lot in Europe about SMEs, but not often with them. And we have often black and white discussions because SMEs are not fitting in, and this is really difficult for them because these regulations and also bureaucracy, it's really a burden and the times are not easy at the moment.
Hmm. And we're seeing the call from businesses, particularly SMEs, saying that we're being strangled at the moment by red tape. Please, decision makers, opinion formers, please do something to help us in terms of the regulation. We're losing out vis-a-vis the US, China,
Now,
other economies. We've got something that needs to be done.
yeah, I have to say it's of course we had the COVID pandemic. This was showing how yeah not strong the SMEs because they could not survive. They had not on reserves to survive 3 4 months because
Yeah.
they were small on budgets, huh? And then you had this energy crisis because Russia was attacking Ukraine.
Yeah.
And then on the top, we have a lot of bureaucracy. Perhaps single regulations make sense, but it's only if we're discussing that at once so much is coming. And we have, this is true, SMEs are often excluded. But in the same time, we have cascade effects where it's coming through the large companies in the supply chains up to them to fulfill it.
Yeah.
And of course, it has an impact negative of the economy in general. And this is impacting SMEs directly because, like me, the economy is an ecosystem. You cannot separate SMEs and we have only SME policy. We have policy for large companies and we can separate this. If the body is sick, then it's also the feet sickness, the head sickness. You cannot separate it. And I think we forget this and often in these policies that everything is related. I can give you an example. If you have a big factory, it's built up with 2,000 employees, then you have 300 mid-sized companies who are suppliers. And of these 300 suppliers, we have 2,000, 3,000 micro businesses who are depending. And then you have taxpayers' revenue, and this is a huge impact. And if you cut there without knowing what's happening, of course, there can become a lot of trouble out of it. And we have this mess at the moment. We have this mess everywhere. And I have to say, I work since a long time in this field. I had never so much negative feedback, also to the European Union. And I think this is really dramatic because before it was always the European Union is harmonizing. It's making business stronger. Now they are thinking, oh my God, the European Union is harmonizing again. What's coming out of this?
Yeah.
And I have this is really a problem. It is really, they are afraid about this, what's coming from Brussels. And before it was really, oh, Brussels makes us stronger. It's changed completely.
And this is a very negative development in terms of being on the side of business. And I think it's interesting the point you raised earlier, Horst, the fact that people talk about business and SMEs, but they don't actually engage with business or SMEs. This is something that obviously needs to change.
Yeah, this is, of course, this is also a problem of the nature of SMEs. They are a lot diverse, they are small, they have a daily business. If you, one person want to come to Brussels to take part, you have to close your business 2 days. And then you have to pay your travel costs. And this is a lot to do. Then this is also to follow this complicated legislative process and also the different regulations at the same time. It's not that one comes at once. It's a parallel, a lot on the same time.
Yeah.
And it is so complicated that lawyers has to explain lawyers what is written there. And lawyers has to explain it then to the SMEs. And then you are lost. And then you have, of course, language barriers. The language in Brussels is English. And until it's translated and so on, it is not easy that you can expect that every SME owner can speak English. And so we have a minority. They really try to be there. Associations has a strong, really a strong function here. And of course, large companies try also to speak about SMEs because SME policy is for them more attractive, because more positive, connected. Because I have to say, we have this problem in the European Union at the moment that everything what is related was in the past with economy was you have to regulate this, we have to defend the consumer, everything okay. But it was always negative related. And SMEs are positive, but they are not there. And in the end, nothing positive comes out for SMEs. So we have really a paradox situation in Brussels at the moment.
And you raise a very good point there, Horst. The idea that, the individuals are actually running their businesses. They don't have time to get involved in the details themselves. But of course, this is the role of associations like SME Connect, that it can actually be the filter and actually the voice for a lot of the hardships and the needs of SMEs across the European continent.
No, in fact, we have an overview about the topics. But SME Connect is there only a network. We have no own positions. Yeah. Because we are too diverse. We are political neutral. We have a political board.
Okay.
But they're giving us advice of a political dimension. But this would be also too complicated to negotiate with them everything. But what we're doing is to bring the right people together to say here's upcoming legislation. Yeah. You have to have a look on it. Search your partner. This is a strong partner, strong associations. please work together in working groups, in coalition initiatives. And so we give also smaller association, also local and regional, national association a chance to have a voice. Only
Mm.
together it's possible. They have to bring together resources, knowledge, and I think this is the function of SME Connect. So,
Yeah.
and I have to say, 80% of the problems are common and 20% are diverse. It's different. If you
Yeah.
are an SME from the solar sector, you have perhaps another approach to green transition than you are somebody who says why we have to pay this high energy costs. So there is differences. Not all SMEs are the same. Not all have the same interests. But this is okay. But
Mm.
80% they can do together. And I think this is our approach. And also we have here big companies who are members in this network, where SMEs are clients, partners, innovation partners. I think it's important that they only not talking about SMEs too, like politics,
Yeah.
so that they are seeing SMEs as partners on the same eye level. For SMEs, it's often such important to speak with politics, like to the big businesses, because they are giving them the tools. They are the partners, and they are depending sometimes on them. And there must be an exchange on the same level, and there must be an understanding. So, and we have really to communicate this. My SME Connect is helping also to translate the political agenda, to translate the big companies' agenda, to translate SMEs' needs.
Yeah.
Because you have to see how many members of parliament are entrepreneurs, how many of them were SMEs owner, not so many, and how many of large companies staff wherever work for an SMEs. They're going to large companies, staying the whole life in this ecosystem of large companies. So there are different languages, and we moderating between them.
Yeah, yeah, and there's also this element of you say moderating between the different levels, but of course, as an entrepreneur with an SME or even a sort of a micro or solo businesses, the need to actually be good or be able to have a control of everything, whether it's sort of the marketing, the revenues, and I think this
Mm-hmm.
gives people in SMEs a very, very strong helicopter view of what's happening, the
Oh,
needs and the requirements.
yeah, this is of course. If you are an SME owner, you have to do everything,
Mm.
and know, and you have a better feeling how these procedures working together. If you're working in one department, or you have only this point of view, and
Yeah.
I think this is also the problem of legislation, because the single legislation makes perhaps totally sense, but in the combination, in the overlapping, and in the mess, it is too much. And I think
Yeah.
this is out of sign. It's like you say, energy cost. Yeah, energy has a price to protect the environment, but the food costs are rising, the renting prices are rising, and then in total you cannot bear it anymore.
Yeah.
And this is the point. And the European Union, I'm really a big fan of it, but lost the overview. And I hope now they're trying it with different strategies now and policies to get out of it. It's not so easy. It's easier
Mm.
to produce bureaucracy than to fight it.
It is, and it seems to be sort of resetting the approach because, as you were saying before, I mean, traditionally it was the fact that the single market allowing companies and organizations to be able to have access on a level playing field to new markets, new opportunities, possibilities for growth and sales. This seems to be rolled back with but at the same time, a whole host of regulations, whether it's higher costs, whether it's more environmental sustainability requirements, which are just costs, don't give any facilitation, don't give any benefits. So it's really the role of business to be looking for where can we actually have the benefits? How can you actually make things easier for us? And I think rolling back some of the regulation and the red tape is a key need at the moment.
Yes, yes, I agree. At the same time, the internal market is not completed.
Yeah.
Legislation, rules, standardization is not per se bad. We need them, but it must be smart. It must be business-like to have a benefit out of this. The regulation was thought to make Europe stronger. At the moment, it's strangling it.
Mm.
And I think this SMEs are not in general against legislation and regulation. They need them. This is also protection and also the market. But
Yeah.
in the end, we have always to think: make it sense to regulate it on the Brussels level? Is it better to regulate it on the member states?
Yeah. Yeah.
I would say this is where we're making often Brussels is regulating too much what also the member states could do. And then if Brussels is regulating, then we have not one regulation, then we have 27 difference in the member states, because then the gold plating is coming, the others making exceptions and so on.
Yeah.
And then I have to say, why we regulate in Brussels if it's still not the same everywhere? I have to say, with the internal market, the cross-border trade for SMEs were increasing, but e-commerce was helping them a lot,
Yeah.
because e-commerce, even its large players, this has advantage and disadvantage, make it easier to sell, more security for the consumer and for them, for transactions and everything, and also for legal uncertainty. So
Mm.
I think there are something went also better, but we came to the point where all these advantages becoming really to a point it's becoming disadvantages. We can also go to a topic what is perhaps not SME 100% like artificial intelligence. I think it's a huge tool what will
Yeah.
help us also to make business easier. I think I'm not an expert, but there are 5 different levels. It's first starting with you using ChatGPT. It's the easiest thing, and then you come high related solutions for you. But these are chances, I have to say. It's chances to translate, to get information and so on. And it will help us also with cross-border. But we starting, and this is also good to regulate it as first, that we have rules in artificial intelligence, but somehow it's becoming as an example what is not well done, because it's so complicated in the end that we have to say that other countries say, oh, this is an example, but a negative example.
Mm.
And I think this we want to be a role model. We want also to set standards for the world, what is good for us, but it must be made. This is not automatically we send standards and everybody is following us. And I think economical success is always the fundament for every spillovers of good regulation from the European Union. And at the moment, I think not we are in all the fields we wanted to be number one and the role model for the world.
Yeah.
I want not to become America without rules and anything, but there must be something adapted, and we have to see there is something going wrong at the moment.
Mm. And also for trading with other parts of the world, other regions, other countries, not to put these barriers in place which are ethical standards masquerading as protectionism as well. This is something
Oh,
that we see from SMEs as well, complaining about.
yeah, this is a difficult topic. I think ethical standards also belongs to the European Union, and I
Mm.
think what we have only to ask us questions is in which cases it's make really something better, and in some cases it makes something more worse. I
Mm.
think to have these values is important. Also, the consumer wants this, and I think this is also what we should have for us. But if we kicked out of markets and Chinese and Russians enter there,
Yeah.
outright, then I don't know if we really had this effect we wanted. So I
Mm.
think the Anglo-Saxon approach is this not always what we like, the Germans. The good intention is means everything. It's not then second is what's the outcome. And I
Yeah.
think the Anglo-Saxon approach is more the outcome must be positive for everybody, but the intention must be not always the best.
Mm.
So I think how to find the balance it's a complicated approach. Of course, sanctions is a problem and so on because SMEs who going cross border international, there are not so many. It's less than 1%.
Yeah,
Um,
sadly.
yeah, it's also via hairdresser. We have to think what is the majority of SMEs, butchers, hairdressers. Their service, they are regional centered,
Mm,
but this 1% is also a lot. They need certainty that they make no mistakes, and I think this we have to do. If we're doing this, of course, we have also here be smart regulations with everything, but we need also certainty and not this high punishments always for SMEs that they are frightened to do something. So I think this is something we have to avoid.
yeah. No, exactly. I think it's something to make life easier, but also this dialogue and these networks that you're creating as well. I think it's vital for decision makers, stakeholders, and opinion formers to be able to have sort of a forum where they can actually hear what the reality is on the ground. And I think that it's always a big thing at the sort of the national, local, but also the regional level that decision makers need to hear from individuals or groups of individuals what's actually happening, what are the pain points, what's working and what's not working as well.
I think this is the heart of every democracy, dialogue,
Yeah.
that we have this exchange. And I think it's becoming in the last past years more and more difficult because there are people who wants to build walls. You cannot speak with this stakeholder,
Mm.
then it's this topic. I have to say, of course, you have not always to agree with each other, and there are also things where you have to set standards and limits. But I have to say, you have to open the dialogue. It's becoming too narrow and what is allowed or not. I
Mm.
think it's important that in the economy, all the partners have an exchange. Small SMEs with large, with the consumers, with the trade unions, they should be really coming to a dialogue because only together we can solve this crisis what is here. And I
Yeah.
think also with NGOs, it must be a dialogue. But I have often this feeling that you should not speak with them. And if you speak with them, we don't speak with you. For SMEs who wants really to have pragmatic solutions and fighting every day to survive, it's hard to understand that there
Yeah.
is no common sense of a dialogue. And I think it's also leading that everybody is in his corner and is everybody starting to block each other. And this is really dangerous for our development.
Mm. Absolutely. No, we see these echo chambers created,
Yes,
different groups, and they just don't speak anymore. It's not just a case of disagreement; they
and
just don't engage.
that sometimes it's blaming, shaming. This is really something what I think it's leading to nowhere. Only that these groups are not talking with each other, and then what is the outcome out of this? The democracy
Yeah.
is blocked, and then in the end, the system is in crisis, and the citizen says, "Is this that? Is this really functional still?"
Yeah.
And I think if the people, the citizens, starting to say, these guys in Brussels, what they are doing, that has nothing to do anymore with my problems, with my daily life, with my work. Then we have really a problem. The European Union, again, is a beautiful, wonderful idea,
Yeah.
but it has also to adapt. Not everybody who wants to criticize or say there are mistakes wants to get rid of the European Union. I think this is totally wrong. But we have to learn that we have to make out of this crisis also a positive chance, like the Greece says, and to learn how to make us stronger. And this is
Yeah.
the moment. If we don't manage it now, then I think I have very big worries for the European Union.
Yeah. No, I think so as well. And we see the rising number of individuals wanting to start their own business, SMEs growing, and I think it is in the DNA of Europeans, this idea of entrepreneurship and SMEs. We need to have the right conditions and the right frameworks to allow these organizations and individuals to flourish and prosper within the European setting.
Yeah, of course. Everybody wants to have his a good fortune. I think if you're starting SME, you want to earn money is, of course, you need it because you have to live, but you do
Yep.
this often not. Some wants to become rich, some wants to be independent, freedom,
Yeah.
or wants to do what they really like. So there are really a diverse reasons why you are entrepreneur. But
Yeah.
I have to say, entrepreneurship is not so much valuable in Europe. If you
Mm.
see, and the TV is criminals, it's a fact. If you see a person murdered there, it's an entrepreneur. He or she is dying there because she deserved it, because she was greedy or she made a
Yeah.
scandal or something. How often you watched a movie where the entrepreneur is a hero?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah,
Exactly.
I think this is why young people don't want anymore to become entrepreneurs. And of course, if you going bankrupt, what could happen? Huh? If it's would not work out. In United States, you get the second, the third, the fifth chance. In
Yes, of
Europe,
course.
after the second time you went bankrupt, you don't get the credit anymore from the bank, and everybody says you are stupid. Why you becomes not an employee?
Yeah.
And I think 50% of our employment are by SMEs. This
Yes.
is a huge value. And also, the majority, 70% of the education places on the working place is delivered by SMEs. And you know, SMEs are part of regional identity. Do you think how wonderful SMEs we have in Italy, what they would be, these regions, without them? This
Mm.
would be a huge cultural loss. SMEs are much more than only a business unit. It is really part of this, how we are today.
Yeah.
And I think this has to be valuable. This has to be appreciated by the people. And it must be say, oh, you're an entrepreneur. Amazing that you're doing this, that you do this challenge and do this risk. And not, are you paying taxes? Are you what you doing with the money? Why are you driving a Porsche? Whatever. I think this is this negative approach.
Yeah.
And I want not to exclude the discussion about fairness and also that if you are rich, that you have also responsibilities. But the majority of SMEs are not rich. They
No.
want only to have a normal life. And I think we can be very grateful that they are doing this.
Completely. And I think it's a great point you touch on there. This kind of not just anti SME, but also anti business, anti industry.
Mm.
That you're daring to make money. You want to do something. Therefore, this is fundamentally wrong for certain groups of society, and that needs to change.
I think the Prime Minister of Great Britain was saying this in a very amazing speech. I don't know if I can repeat him exactly one to one, but he said we have to save the economical system to save the welfare state.
Yes.
And I think economy is not everything, but everything is nothing without economy.
Mm.
And I
Yeah.
think if you want to be sustainable in green transformation, in social targets, you cannot separate it from the sustainability in economy. And I think this connection we lost, this we lost. And also because there is the enemy. There is the enemy. This is not part of the civil society. They are
Mm.
not part of this constructive dialogue. They have this went totally in the wrong direction. I think
Yeah.
conflicts are good. Different opinions are natural, but I have to say it is unnatural that the European continent is fighting, has such a, sorry, not fighting, has such a negative relation with their own economical identity and with his entrepreneurs.
Yeah. No, fully agree. And Horst, it's fantastic that you've sort of taken these things up for the taxpayers, also for SMEs, and look forward to supporting this really important battle that's ongoing within the European space. And thank you for coming on to explain a little bit about the work, but also the challenges that exist today.
Yes, thank you so much. And yeah, it's a pity that we have to speak now about battles. I don't like this words battle
Mm,
fights, but we are in this now, and I think we have to stay together. And I hope that everybody is comes to these dialogues, everybody should join it in a constructive, pragmatic way. And then we can change something in a good way. And SMEs should be in the core of all these discussions.
Yeah, absolutely. Very well said, Horst. Thank you very much indeed for appearing and look forward to hearing more from you again soon.
Always a pleasure. And thank you so much for this invitation.
Thank you.